is Fox 5 Morning News.
Well, the congressional agenda this summer will likely be focused on the debt ceiling debate, but Medicare immigration reform might also get some of the attention this summer, even only to help solidify party positions on some very hot topics in advance of next year's election. So joining us now to look at the summer ahead on the Hill are Ford O'Connell, and chairman of Civic Forum PAC and co-founder of Project Virginia, and a Republican voter at Mobilization Drive. Also, Margie Omero, Democratic pollster and president of Momentum Analysis. Clients include the Democratic National Committee. I hope we all got that in there. We got that all clear there. Let's get that out there. But first, let's talk about the debt ceiling debate. This is obviously something that is huge right now. The deadline is August 2nd. What is it going to take here from both sides? There needs to be some give and take, but so far we've kind of been at a standstill a bit on this.
Well, you see Republicans really holding this hostage, and it's not what the American public wants to see, partisan bickering yet again all summer. I mean, you had Republican Congressman Allen West get booed in his hometown hall trying to talk about this because people want to talk about what's important to them and their daily life, and that means not giving corporate tax breaks to millionaires and companies that ship jobs overseas. And he's having a hard time, as a lot of Republicans, trying to justify their partisan posturing over this.
Yeah, but Ford, you guys would probably say, they just want to make sure, Republicans do, that there are some cuts made in spending. I mean, that's really what it's over.
Well, our spending is a little bit out of control. Our government's sort of like a habitual junkie, if you will, who doesn't really know how to control itself. And both parties have really been part of the problem. But with a $14 to $15 trillion debt, if we do not put sort of budget measures, future budget measures through tax cuts and program amendments into place, we're going to really wind up spiraling out of control and wind up with a fiscal calamity sort of on the caliber of Greece. And right now, we can't do that. Unfortunately, eventually, I do think we're going to have to pass the debt ceiling, because if we default, unfortunately, it's going to hurt us and the world markets. And for the layman, their buying power will go down, and the cost of goods will go up. So we know what's going to happen. The question is, what are we going to get from our side, or from the Democrats, with respect to budget measures to cut back spending for the future?
Well, let me give you another example. Say you have a mom trying to re-enter the workforce, and she's going back to school to get some skills, and she's got a beater car that doesn't really work very well that she needs to get to school, and she spends $3 a day at Starbucks, right? So you can't. And she's struggling and has debt, right? That's sort of our national economy right now. Now, the Starbucks cut is not enough to get her back on track. And what Republicans want to do is say, we can't invest in, fixing your car to get to school. We can't spend the money on the school, and you should give all your money to your rich uncle who works for Halliburton and oil companies. And that's just not what the American people want to see as a plan. And that doesn't really invest in our long-term growth and our long-term earning power of this woman or of the national economy.
How much is the Tea Party playing into this? How much of an effect are they having on, with Republicans? I mean, you're kind of looking at two things that you have to deal with here. How much are they in play on this?
The Tea Party is really serving as sort of the Republican Party's fiscal conscience. I mean, they are a little green to government, but they do understand principle. And what they're saying is enough with respect to spending. I think that Margie's oversimplifying it, because unfortunately right now, personal income and corporate taxes are some of the highest in the world. And unfortunately, if we want to lower the unemployment rate, raising taxes is not going to be a winner. We're going to have to cut back, because America, with our rising population, people living longer, America cannot continue to be all things to all people.
I mean, General Electric paid $0 in taxes. If it's lower in other countries, I don't know what that means.
Well, I think that we should close those loopholes. Nobody's discussing the fact that we don't have certain loopholes.
Lots of Republicans have been fighting to protect those loopholes. I mean, that's a constant debate that we have. To say the Republicans aren't against, that they're in favor of closing loopholes is laughable. That's what, we talk about in every campaign.
Well, I think that we're going to have to find a middle ground, and eventually tax reform is going to be part of it. But I think closing the loopholes before we discuss raising tax rates is going to be a little bit more of a winner in terms of our long-term economic growth.
Another thing that there's probably going to be some middle ground that needs to be found over is Medicare. That's something that you both say, though, is going to be kind of part of this conversation over the debt ceiling. How so? And what can we see come out of this?
Well, Medicare right now, according to the trustees board, is going to go bankrupt in a decade or so. The question is and the Republicans have poorly messaged us. There's no question about it. The bottom line is, how are we going to save Medicare and do it so in a fiscally savvy way? We saw this at the New York 26 special election. We fell flat on our face, but we fell flat on our face not because Paul Ryan and company didn't offer a good idea. We fell flat on our face because we basically poorly messaged it, and Democrats took advantage of it by throwing grandma off a cliff in commercials. I don't blame them. They took advantage of the situation. It was our fault, because in elections, with the American people, ideas don't win, targeted messaging does.
Well, it's not, just because the plan is drastic doesn't make it good. I mean, the values and the principles what people want to see are protecting health care for senior citizens. And that's not something that the Ryan plan did. Instead of reducing the cost of health care and reducing payments, bloated payments to insurance companies, they are reducing benefits for people who are struggling. And that's just simply not, you don't need an ad showing grandma being pushed off the cliff to convince people that that's wrong. They know that it's wrong. It's the complete opposite of what the public wants to see, and that's why Republicans are infighting over whether or not they're standing behind the Ryan plan.
We are going bankrupt. Unfortunately, some things have to change. If we do not actually try to save Medicare, it will go bankrupt anyway.
I don't think any Democrats are opposed to trying to find ways to make the system more efficient.
So where's the plan
problem is, well, there's been discussion about trying to reduce insurance payments and make sure Medicare and Medicaid pay the same amount in their reimbursements to insurance companies and prescription drug benefits. But instead, you have this plan to change beneficiaries and change what you pay to seniors. With some Republicans, really clearly, they don't like the idea of Medicare. I mean, that's where this is coming from. It's not just, well, this is the right thing for America. No, this is, Medicare is a bad, and Social Security, if people had their way, would also be privatized. So I think those are the things that the Republican, you talk about the hangover being big. Voters are really having a big hangover now, thinking about what has happened with Republicans since they've taken power.
Well, with a $15 trillion debt, the bottom line is the time for discussion's over, and the Democrats need to offer a plan. Do I think the Ryan plan should be improved upon? Absolutely.
That message, the time for discussion is over.
It is.
Well, it is.
It really is.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Our time is over, but of course, this is going to be a debate. They got a lot to get to during the summer, so we, of course, will be following it. Thank you both for coming in, Margie Omero and O'Connell. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
all right, Allison, over to you.